before we start, I'm just gonna go through a few housekeeping rules and also introduce myself. My name is Refilo Machale, and I'm the chapter director at Startup Brand Bloemfontein. So I just want to take a moment to welcome each and every single one of you. And I'm also seeing Ayanda Makanya from Startup Brand UFS. So yeah, I just want to say, give a shout out to her too. She also has some amazing events that she'll be doing throughout the year. So please do look at their page as well. So yeah, before we start, I just wanna give another shout out to our sponsor, which is PayFast. So while we wait for the next 2 minutes, I'm just gonna play a bumper clip of theirs, just so that if anybody's wondering what PayFast is about, so that you can see what it is that they're about and what it is that they have to offer. So I'm just gonna share that little bumper. From there on, we will get into the fireside chat. So once again, welcome, and yeah.
South Africans love EFTs. They help us pay our rent, doctor's appointments, school fees, and that friend who bought us lunch the time we forgot our wallets. Did you know that around 1 in 3 people prefer EFTs to other online payment methods? So if you're running an online store, you really don't want to miss out on those sales. What's more, online shoppers expect instant service. That's why you need Instant EFT by PayFast. Instant EFT easily integrates into your website and offers super secure payments through South Africa's favorite banks. Payments immediately reflect in your PayFast account, which means there's no hold-up waiting for proof of payment. PayFast even offers technical support to you and your customers. So don't delay. Reach more customers and enjoy PayFast's Instant EFT today.
Okay, guys. So like I said, PayFast is one of our loyal sponsors. So please do visit their website if you're considering if you do have a business and looking to launch an online store or something or like online payments. Do visit their website and check out all the amazing things that they have to offer to help your business get to that next level. So yes, please go on Google and just look up PayFast. Sandras, and we are very excited to have you with us today. Time to be with us today. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, no, I've been following your journey from Startup Brand Cape Town, so it was kind of like a no-brainer to have you as a guest speaker for Startup Brand Bloemfontein. So I'm quite excited about today, and I'm looking forward to learning a lot as well. So I think we can jump straight into. I think we can jump straight into the fireside chat. And I know you know how we do it with Startup Brand. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of the business, we first want to learn about Sandras, the person. So I think to start off, may you maybe just tell us a little bit about your early years, maybe your background and upbringing, and what really inspired you to maybe just pursue entrepreneurship.
Let's see. Yeah. Thanks once again for having me, and great to have so many people on the call. And I love Bloemfontein, by the way. It's like one of the best chapters of Startup Grind in the world. Excellent. So my background is I was born in Zambia. My dad was a teacher, primary school teacher. So we moved around a lot. I changed schools 7 times, but lived in a little town. Then, like where I spent most of my years was in a little town where there were like 5 cars, the cars, like one is for the priests, one for the nuns, and the other one for the secondary school, and one for the district governor, and like one for one rich man who had a car, So that's what it was. Yeah. And then my dad retired. We went to the village. So I lived in a village where we were walking to school 6.5 kilometers one way and 6.5 the other way. with no shoes. So the typical story of growing up in a rural area. And then we moved to the city. And the first time we moved to the city, we lived in a township. We lived in a one-roomed house, like where we were sharing everything. Like we share a room with like my parents, my mom, my dad, me and my little brothers, and then we upgraded. We went to another township where we now lived in a two-roomed house. And where there I was selling sweets at school. So my entrepreneurship journey started then. Like I was selling sweets at school. I was helping my mom to sell at the market. Then me and my little brother would go to the market to go and buy bread and milk, and walk door to door selling bread and milk in the morning. Then in the afternoon, you go to the neighbors to go and draw water, and then you get ready for school. Then in the afternoon, come back from school, we go to the neighbors. Like there was no electricity, no water. So we go to the neighbors, like the richer neighbors, to go and to draw water and water their flowers. They will allow us to come inside and watch TV. And then that was like in the city. And then we moved back to the village when my dad like stopped working again. And then I went to high school there. And when I was in grade 11, my dad passed away. And then when I was in grade 12, my final year of high school, my mom passed away. So it was pretty rough, but I still managed to pass and go to university where I studied computer science. And then that was like a rough period, but it reinforced my entrepreneurial piece, because I then had to start selling more things to supplement my fees at varsity. So I was a bootlegger. I would go and buy spirits. I'll buy brandies and vodkas and whiskeys and from the Lusaka, which is the capital, and then go to campus and get the students drunk, and they would give me their money. But I'm not saying you should all start running shebeens. So that was like my first few years of my life. Yeah.
I think that it's like that the university didn't kick you out because you were distracting everybody with alcohol. At least you weren't drinking your own supply, though, I would hope.
Yeah, I wasn't getting high on my own supply, apart from weekends. So like after I made my money, then now I could share one drink or many with my friends, and then we go on to use that money, the money that I made, to pay for my school fees, and the other part to party like the cool kids and go out clubbing and stuff.
Yeah. I think that not the nice thing, but the interesting thing about your story is, the entrepreneurial success stories that we tend to hear these days are people who knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody, and in order for you to make it, you have to know somebody. So your story is quite refreshing to hear somebody that really worked their way up, because now we tend to think that in order to make it, you need to, know somebody. So you are the founder and CEO of StartupCircles. Can you maybe just tell us a little bit about it and why you think startups need the kind of support that StartupCircles offer?
Okay, so the StartupCircles is a practical business school for entrepreneurs. And what we do is we cut out the fat and just take out like all the stuff that fills up the entrepreneurship education and just teach you exactly what you need to build a valuable business and raise money. That's what we do. So, for instance, like when I finished studying, I set up my first company, which was a web dev company. Then I worked for a bank, I worked for a mobile payments company. And then when I moved to Cape Town in like 14 years ago, I worked for another company. Then I did an MBA at one of the top business schools in Africa and one of the best in the world. And I was hoping I'd be able to run my small business, my startup, but I couldn't. I found that was the thing, that a lot of people learn entrepreneurship or get MBAs and get degrees, but they can't run a small business. So the MBA has got a place and all these degrees are good if you're getting a job, right? You're getting a corporate job, fantastic. You're going to be a management consultant, that's excellent. But when it comes to entrepreneurship, there is a big mismatch. And that's why I started Startup Circles to say, look, there's a big difference. And being part of Startup Grind, like running Startup Grind for 5 years, talking to founders of companies from around the world, I noticed that there was a big mismatch. What the founders were talking about and what we're learning in class, like very different. So why don't we teach this? And then I went to my university, UCT, and they said, oh, no. The requirements are you must spend so much time in class and read so much and produce a paper which has a minimum number of pages of so many. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
for us, we did the opposite. Like, no, what's the quickest way I can get this done? So it's like, it's saying, instead of saying, no, minimum of 20 pages, for us, it's a maximum, you should have 2 pages, you know? Like, so, like, get straight to the point and just learn what you need. So we've cut out all of that, where if it was a traditional way of teaching entrepreneurship, we start with, what is entrepreneurship? According to Schumpeter, according to Peter Drucker, according to, and then we debate 1 month later, like, oh yeah, we like this definition. Then another week we come back, ideation, validation. And then all of these things, 1 year, 2 years pass, you graduate, but you can't run a business. And then we talk about business plans and projections, and everybody, Refilwe, makes money in Excel. Like, you can put the numbers you want in Excel and you're rich, right? But reality is very different. So that's what Startup Circles does.
I actually wish that I had known about it before I started a business, because I also went into it thinking that I knew it all, and I did my research and reading and this, but nothing could have actually prepared me for the day of a business. So I think if there's anybody in here that's thinking of starting a business or is already in business, you know, you can never learn too much. And so I'll definitely be looking into Startup Circles and seeing and learning, basically, because I've burnt my fingers quite a few times. So I think I see Crystal Wilson, and I think she is a representative for PayFast. So I just wanted to acknowledge her as well. Like I did, I spoke before we started that PayFast is a big supporter for Startup Grind. So I just wanted to acknowledge her because I see her there. So my next question for you is that, you know, the success or the survival rate for small businesses in South Africa is quite low. So what do you think the problem is, and what are some of the developmental stages that you think startups need to go through for them to be able to build that successful business?
I think there's a gap in terms of the knowledge and then the guidance. So whilst South Africa, believe it or not, South Africa has a lot of support for entrepreneurship compared to a lot of countries in the world. So I know South Africans complain that, no, you're not getting any support, but actually there is a lot. So personally, I've traveled to 22 countries. I've been Silicon Valley a lot of times. And South Africa has got a lot of programs. But I think the mismatch is in terms of, you have people saying, if you have an idea, just go and get money. Almost like, there's free money for just having an idea. It is not true. There is no free money. That's why people go to CEDA, IDEA, they go to different places to go and raise money and just saying, I've got an idea. Like, your ideas in themselves mean nothing. Ideas are like, they're worthless. What makes something valuable is your execution on the idea. So there are a lot of talkers in South Africa. There are a lot of talkers in Africa. And there are a lot of, like, everybody's talking about Africa is the new frontier. Africa is the future. This is the time for Africa. But if we stop talking and start doing, then it really changes. So there's that gap of a lot of people very educated, or a lot of people talking big game, but very few people actually executing. So that's the first part. Like, if we can find people who execute, then it makes a big difference. And then the second part is like executing on the right things. There are a lot of people who are busy, but busy on the wrong things, right? And you like, it's almost a bragging right to say, I'm busy. How are you? Oh, good. Busy. Like, busy shouldn't be bragging, right? What are you busy with?
Yeah.
So there's that gap of you're busy, but what are you busy with? So what we've done with Startup Circles is that we said, let's look at your business in these 9 areas, and they're not complicated. But the most important thing we want to see is, do you have traction? Traction is proof that your business is going somewhere. We're saying, are you selling? Are you making money? Whereas people get caught up in putting together big words and saying, I'm building a blockchain-based AI app that prepares companies for the 4th industrial revolution. Like, what are you saying? You just put big words together. Like, you haven't said anything. You don't have a business. Whereas somebody who's just selling sweets on the side of the road actually has a business, compared to you who's putting together like complicated stuff that you're trying to impress, and you're not making any money. So to simplify, a business is a set of activities that deliver value and generate revenue. If you're not generating revenue, it's called a hobby. Okay?
Yeah.
Hobbies are things we do, set of activities that generate value for us, then they cost money, but they're not generating money. So you can turn your idea or your business into something that makes money, but it's important to be clear on that. So I think the failure is that executing on the wrong things. And then the what would help is focus on, if you learn nothing from today's session, everybody, one thing, focus on sales. Sales. Traction. That is what generates a business. So you can sell something you haven't built. Selling is hard. That's why people don't do it. And building is easy. That's why a lot of people do it. So registering a company, building a website, doing business cards, that's not running a business. You can have all of those things and be broke, but you can be selling stuff and actually have a business. So I encourage all of you to take action.
Okay. So I think what stood out for me here is the problem is that, you have a lot of people with ideas and people that talk, but if you don't really have executors on the team, then that's a very big mistake, and also to focus on sales. So
Absolutely.
okay. That's something that I'll keep in mind going into my next venture. So like, obviously with Startup Grind and April is funding month, I just wanted to add 1 or 2 questions around funding. So as the fund manager for a multi-million rand venture company, what do you look for when you are considering investing in a startup, and how do early stage startups make themselves funding ready?
Fantastic. That's a very good question. And right now we are running a Get Funded Summit, which is a free summit. So those of you who want to join it can join it. It starts at 6 p.m. That's why I had to leave early. Yes.
So, already registered.
Fantastic. So what we're doing there is we're teaching you what you need to know to get investor ready. And what we look for is quite clear. So first of all, people think that, is it even true that investors are looking for companies to invest in? Yes, it's true. And what do they look for? Number one, they look for traction, execution. Okay, they look for traction, saying like, what have you done? You say, oh, I've got this amazing idea. Say, cool. And for most part, those of you who have pitched to investors, you get surprised, like, why aren't they excited about my idea? Because ideas are a lot, and a lot of people have ideas, and it's not impressive anymore. Like, your idea is not original to begin with. So when you say, I've thought of this and this, that, and that, and they say, oh, okay, cool. What have you done? No, nothing. But if you give me money, I'll do something. Like, So what they want to see is saying, oh, I'm working on this. Look what I've done. They go, oh, wow. Are you making money? Yes, I'm making money. So you make money, even you're doing it manually. Like, you do it manually until it hurts. They say, look, I'm making money, but I'm overwhelmed. I need to build a system that helps me deliver this. And so we look for that. If you have traction of any sort, it's very important. Then we also look at market size, saying how big can this market be? And then also we want to see that you have thought about it in terms of how big your market can be. Then the other things that we look at is how you fare with your competition. Then the other pieces now are bonuses. We're saying like your team. So there are some investors who won't invest in you if you're alone, whereas with Enygma Ventures, we can invest in you if you're alone. And so there's the team, then there's like, oh, can this company exit? And do you have, like, what's your product? How far have you gone with it? All of those things. So problem, product, market, your solution, your traction, your competition, your team, and then your ask. So how much money you're asking for, that doesn't matter too much because the investors will guide you. But the mistake that a lot of people make is that you're saying, I've got an idea, but give me R1 million. Nobody will give me R1 million for an idea.
Yeah.
You know? So if you have an idea, you need actually like 15,000 Rand. But for the most part, if you have an idea, you don't need money. You just need to prove that your idea can work. But when you've proved, then people will give you. So remember this, money attracts money. People don't go into an empty restaurant or go into an empty club. If the club has got nobody, you go in, you're like, no, I'm not going in. Let me find where it's busy. It's the same. Yeah. If you're saying, give me money, I have no money, they go, no. They go to people like who are making money, then they give them more money.
Okay. Well, I've actually made a lot of notes here, so thank you for that. So my next question has to do a little bit about crowdfunding. So in the space that, or in the, let me say in the space that I'm in, we tend to hear the traditional forms of funding, like your loans, your grant funding, and maybe your VC funding. But not a lot is being said around crowdfunding. Can you maybe, if you can maybe give me a simple definition of how you would define crowdfunding, and what messages do startups, like how do startups position themselves in the best way possible to get funded through crowdfunding?
Okay, so crowdfunding makes it easy for you to raise money from friends, family, and the crowd, right? So people you're not related to, and also people might not know you personally. And the difference between crowdfunding and getting equity funding is that with equity, you get through a little bit more due diligence, and people would need, like, it's a little bit more complicated compared to if you're just crowdfunding. But crowdfunding is not to say that crowdfunding is easier. So the mistake that people make is to think that, okay, because investors have said, no, I'll just go crowdfund. But even with crowdfunding, what you need to do is that you need to show a real value proposition to the people that you're trying to raise money from. And something to consider when you're crowdfunding is that crowdfunding just makes it even super easy to raise money from your networks. Meaning, if I come to you, Refilwe, then I go to Leslie, to Pansika, to Nolwazi, Sipe, then Ayanda, Crystal, and Sean, and so kind of say, guys, I'm building this amazing company. I'm trying to raise money. And say, oh, okay, how do we give you money? And formalize it in a way. We say, cool, you get onto this crowdfunding platform, because the crowdfunding platform will handle all the details about who put in what, how much they should give. Okay. So that's what you do. So use a crowdfunding platform to raise money from your network. But it's much harder to just go to a crowdfunding platform with nothing. So use your network and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to raise. And everybody here says, cool, we'll give you money. Then I send you the link to crowdfunding. Then you put in the money and it's automatically allocated and all of that. You get that. Then now I can go to the public and open it, say, hey, I'm trying to raise 100,000 and I already have raised, like in one day, I've raised 60,000. That looks like, whoa, this is amazing. And then because you got momentum, more people go in. Remember what I said? People love a club that's full, a restaurant that's full. If you go crowdfunding and you're zero, day one, 0 day two, nobody will put in money.
Okay.
Again, empty restaurant, I'm not going in there.
Okay, I definitely get that strategy. So you don't just go into it with the hopes that strangers are just gonna put in their money from the get go. You
Yeah.
So yeah, so my next question for you is that, like you said, you are the chapter director for Startup Brand Bloemfontein, not Bloemfontein, Cape Town, and that chapter is one of the biggest chapters that we have within the global community. So my question to you is that with us Bloemfontein, we are really trying to build an impactful and a sustainable entrepreneurship ecosystem, but we have experienced some challenges with consistencies. So based on your experience, how does one build an impactful and a sustainable entrepreneurship ecosystem?
It's the answer is actually not very complicated. It's just
Yeah.
be consistent, you feel it? Like
Yeah.
be consistent. So people should know what to expect when they know that every month we're gonna have a great guest. That's what you do. And then
Yeah.
also aim to bring like really amazing guests. That's what you do. And then people always know like startup grind Bloemfontein. I get the best, but I know it's happening. But if it's like, if again, it's like you own a restaurant. I know that you have your Friday specials, right? And I know I come there on Friday, or here in Cape Town we have First Thursday, and I come there for that. But if one Thursday comes, then no, we're not open this Thursday. Then I go, oh yeah, we're open today. And then when are we opening? I don't again. We don't know. Like I'll stop coming.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
what we do.
Okay. Yeah, no, thanks for that. I hope some of the people, some of the team is listening, and I hope that we will be able to offer value to the community and to everybody that's in the session. I'm going to emotionally blackmail you to attend all of our sessions. So last Wednesday of the month, today was just a little bit different, but every last Wednesday of the month. So, in your opinion, what are the top 3 things that a successful entrepreneurship ecosystem needs to have and to ensure that it grows? So, I don't know if you just want to add some other things, practical things to the answer you just gave.
Yeah, I think it's having one is creating a cohort, like where you're having entrepreneurs talking to each other and interacting a lot. So that's number one. And that doesn't depend on government, it doesn't depend on anybody to do stuff for you. Like entrepreneurs, just to create that. You can create a WhatsApp group and just talk to each other and support each other. Then number 2 is shared learning, like sharing your knowledge and learning and trusting and making sure that you share your ideas, but you share your ideas, because some people are afraid, like if I share my idea, people steal your ideas. Again, I've said that already. Your ideas mean nothing. You've been having all these ideas for years and you're broke, right? So get over your idea, start executing.
Yeah.
So when you share your ideas and you start executing together, then it makes a big difference. Then I think the third thing is for us to celebrate people that take action, not celebrating people just talk. And that's why I love Startup Grind so much, that we bring people who are actually doing stuff, whereas a lot of other programs will bring people to talk. So there's certain things, like I would go to Startup Grind events and like totally love organizations like PayFast that are promoting this, because like you are supporting people who are doing things, which is different from when we're supporting people just talking. And there are a lot of talkers. We don't need any more talkers in Africa. We need doers. And
Yeah.
if you decide today to be a doer, you are a rare breed. And if you're a doer that adds value, you're even a super rare breed. And if you add value to people all the time, you always have a job, you always have money. You'll never be broke.
Yeah. Okay. So it's all about adding value. I actually saw something similar, but it was more around creating content. So they were saying you must be consistent and, you must add value. And then from there on, whatever the money and everything else will come afterwards. But the main thing you must look for is adding value to people. So it's quite interesting to hear you say that as well. So this is like my last question before we get into the Q&A. So I hope you guys have a lot of questions. So, with Startup Grind, every month is different and we have themes. Like this month is funding month, but I know that there's also a month around pitching and organizing a pitch deck and also doing that stuff. So as a roughly small chapter, when it comes to financing and looking for sponsorships, we do struggle a lot with that. So I just wanted to share some tips on how you were able to gain access to the relevant people who were able to offer those sponsorships towards Startup Grind or rather the event you were planning.
Okay, so the key to life and business is sales. So when people are struggling with money, it's because they're not selling. When startups and businesses are failing, it's because they're not selling. When you are struggling to get people to get your point of view, it's because you're not selling. So even just convincing people on your point of view is selling. Even relationships, right? Dating is selling. Like you're selling people on the value that, hey, if you're with me, you get more value than you being alone or with somebody else, right? So it's all of that. And even when you're married, like maintaining that is still selling, like you keep selling to each other. So it's the same when you're talking to business people and sponsors, that you are talking to their values, and make sure that you treat trying to raise sponsorship as sales activities. Have like a list of companies you're going to call, and call them and have meetings, pitch to them, but listen to them in terms of, they'll tell you what's important to them. They say, oh, show our video, do this, give us that, and do that, then you will succeed. But if you just do what you want and you're not giving them what they want, they'll leave. Just like a relationship. If you just do what you want and you're not giving the other person what they want, they'll leave.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, but that makes sense. Yeah. It's just funny, the comparison to relationships as well.
Yes. So relationships are business, by the way. Marriage is a business. That's why it starts with a proposal.
Yeah. No, I'll believe you because you have been happily married for quite some time. So I will take your word for it.
Yeah. 15 years. Cool. All right.
Wow.
Thank you.
So guys, I've reached the end of the questions that I had for Sandras. So I'm just gonna ask my co-director CP Zenani to just take over the Q&A, and then so I don't know if any of you guys have some questions before Sandras has to leave. So CP, may you please turn on your mic and come onto the screen. And then in the meantime, is there anybody that has a question? I'm gonna pick on some people while some of them are thinking. Ayanda.
Hi, everyone. Well, I actually had a question regarding at which stage would Sandras recommend an entrepreneur to actually start asking for funding. But during his talk, he actually answered my question, especially regarding the importance of trying to validate your idea or your business first. So I had that question, but it was answered for me. Thank you.
Cool. And yeah, and if I could add to that, like you start pitching straight away. Okay, so with Startup Circles will give you that platform, like you start pitching straight away, but you need traction. But pitching, not just pitching for money, just talk to investors and hear what they think about your idea. It's like, hey, I'm thinking of doing this, or I'm doing this. What's your opinion on it, or what advice would you give me? Then they'll just help you grow way faster. So for instance, like it's important to have mentors and coaches. My coach sold her business for $100 million. So like when you're having like people like that, there's no way you wouldn't move if you're taking their advice. Yeah.
I see your mic is on, so I'm just gonna continue until then. I know Leslie also often has questions. So Leslie, do you have anything to ask Sandras?
Yes, thank you. I do have a question. So my question, you spoke about adding value and being able to sell, and so my question now comes to a lot of startups now. They're tech orientated, and those that are not tech orientated, how do they find their space where we are going in the future?
Okay. So tech is an enabler. Tech is not the solution in itself. Okay. So tech, if you think about tech, think of tech is like electricity. You know what I mean? When I'm coming to you, I'll tell you that, hey, I'm selling a toothbrush, but a toothbrush will help you do this. And then I'll say, oh, by the way, my toothbrush is electric. Like, oh, so it still does what a toothbrush does, but it's faster. So same with tech. So tech is not the thing that investors invest in, right, or as in itself. You just say like tech. I know a lot of people and a lot of investors say we only invest in tech, but it's not complete. They are investing in businesses that solve very specific problems. So you can have a business which is not tech and is solving something real, and then you add tech on top of it. So you have Sweep South. It's connecting, helping domestic workers to work and get money, right? But that's what they do. They got people who help clean people's houses, and then they use tech to solve that. Then it's like, oh, cool. Now they can do it better, and they raise lots of money. And you can think of it that way, like any business can apply some tech that will help us just be a little bit more efficient. So once again, not to think just on tech as the end in itself, and meaning there's a future for everybody because we can add tech to pretty much almost everything that we're doing. And as long as you are solving what people want solved, you always have a business.
I think people enjoy me picking on them. So, Sipe, you can ask me to ask a personal question. Okay, I'm just gonna ask the question here, Sipe, and then you can ask your question because I know you always have a question. So I think my question is around the go-to-market strategy. I've been hearing a lot that it's almost like, is there a basic step-by-step thing that you can follow for a go-to-market strategy? Because what I've noticed is that a lot of businesses, and even myself, is that you have this amazing idea and you can already list your clients, but when it comes to reaching them, that's quite a bit of a problem. So I don't know if you get what I'm trying to ask, but
I think I do. Cool. So go-to-market strategy would be like, well, you've proved you've proven your solution, and you want now to expand and capture a larger part of the market. So at the beginning, don't worry too much and don't complicate it. So one of my superpowers, by the way, is just to simplify things. So I can help people validate their business ideas in a day. I'm hired to do like validation. I've been in some of the programs, like companies ask me like, oh, we have entrepreneurs who want to do validation for a year. They want to do validation for 6 months. Like, like for me, it doesn't work. It's a waste of time and money. Like, so we help people to do that very quickly. Like you can validate your idea very quickly. Just go out and try to sell it in a day. And people will tell you whether they'll buy or not, and they'll give you feedback and all of that. And then you come back and say, wow, I'm onto something, or I need to change it, or Actually, I got no business, right? So what a lot of people do is they complicate things. That is why a lot of educated people struggle to run businesses and make money, because they are very good at complicating stuff. Like things simple stuff, things simple. Like, no. Like they avoid the things that matter, which is just pick up your phone, call people, and start selling. You'll be amazed. Just that simple strategy of your go-to-market strategy is you're just gonna pick up your phone and start calling people. And then you get sales, right? You get your meetings, you get your sales. Then now you can start posting, like you can use digital channels. Like again, before you have budget and all of that, before you think of paid search, you can just do organic posts. Then if you got money now, you can now start going for paid search, and we can go into the more complicated stuff. Like now you do your Facebook and Instagram, you do your LinkedIn, you do your Google search, Google paid search, and we can do so much there. And then we can do like pillar content and a lot of things. But to simplify, a lot of you just need to use what you've got, which is you got a phone, you got email, do that. And you'll be amazed how much money you'll make by just doing that. People come to us and say, look, I'm struggling. I haven't sold anything. Like, did you try to sell anything? No. Like, that's why you haven't sold, because you're hoping people will come to you. Like, okay, tomorrow, call up 20 people. Like 20, like, yeah. How long would one call take? And some calls are 5 minutes, some 5, 10. And then in the evening, like, oh my gosh, I just sold to 10 people today. Like, what did you do differently? I actually sold. I called.
It sounds so simple, but
it is.
yeah.
It is. So forget your SWOT analysis, your pests, your projections, your weighted average cost of capital, forget all of that. Simplify.
Okay. I see Billy has a question and you have a question, and then I think those will be the last two questions we'll be taking. Yeah, so I think we can facilitate Billy's question and yours.
No, let me just start. Mine is not necessarily a question, so it's a little bit unrelated. I just wanted to talk about an initiative that Startup Grind Bloemfontein is part of, that is directed at assisting, I don't know, upcoming entrepreneurs and startup owners. It's just a platform that is packed with a couple of courses on different types of entrepreneurship and agripreneurship. So I've shared the link on the chat box. So Billy, you can go.
Cool.
I think
I see Billy's question.
Okay.
Billy's question is, how does one scale up the business in the midst of the pandemic? Cool. So it depends on the type of business, Billy. I think I've answered it in a way that a lot of times people are struggling because they're just not selling enough. So just find ways of selling. And in the pandemic, don't depend very much on face-to-face meetings. Use phone, use WhatsApp. People are happy. Like I was talking to people from a company called Salesforce. Salesforce employs like half the people in San Francisco, and the owner is a billionaire. It's like multi-billion-dollar company, and we have using WhatsApp, like just to talk to them. So don't complicate it, and you don't always have to use Zoom, by the way, because people would do Zoom and then use audio. Like we could have just done WhatsApp, right? So people complicate things. People call you to talk about calling you. Like, no, you've called me already. Let's talk, right? Yeah. So that's how you do it. Just simplify. And then in the pandemic, think of, can you do it remotely? Can you use more of the digital tools? And then if you have to do it in person, just make sure that people feel safe.
I think then that was our last question. But Sandras, before we let you go, I think we have 5 more minutes.
I need to jump off though, because I need to still do something. Yeah, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I think then let me let you go. I wanted to say we usually give one startup a platform during our session to maybe just talk a little bit about their business. So
Okay.
I saw somebody in here that is in the water conservation space, and they sell this really amazing thing. So I just wanted you to listen in quickly, and then you can jump. Yeah, please jump on, and then it's just 1 minute because Sandras needs to go. Okay, I think he's struggling a little bit, but that's fine then, Sandras. Thank you so much for making time to really just be with us as a chapter today. We really look up to some of the work that you've done there with the Cape Town chapter and the amazing work that you're doing with Startup Circles. So I would assume that people learned as much as I did in today's session. So thank you so much. And I think I wanted to know if you have any words of encouragement or any words of closing that you would want to share with the community.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me, Refilwe. And sorry, I have to jump off now, but thank you and great work you're doing. Great work you're doing, Ayanda. And well done, everybody. Thanks for joining this call. What I encourage you to do is that you stay in the game. Entrepreneurship is hard, but it pays off when you stay in the game. So I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, but the first few years were rough. Really rough, but now it's different. Okay, so so people look at it now and say, "Oh my gosh, you're an overnight success." Like, yeah, it took over 10 years, but and so stay in the game. We'll seek help, and one thing I keep saying: gain traction, learn to sell, and simplify things. Okay, simplify. And then you're all welcome to join us in the Get Funded masterclass that starts in 12 minutes. And you will learn a lot more around what investors look for. And you're free to join the Startup Circles community as well. And what I want to see is more of you raising money and building great companies. And say like, hey, remember that time when you spoke and here I am and look what I've done. Like, cool. Then you can at least buy me a Castle Light. Be like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Hopefully, I'll be one of those people in the next few years. So,
yes.
Once again, yeah, thank you so much. Cool. I think we can jump off the call, and then while people are exiting, I'm just gonna play that bump. Thanks for joining the session, and please continue to support the community. Really ask something about digitalization of your business. So we're trying to run a series where we look at different fields where you can add digital stuff to your business to be competitive in this climate. So thank you. Continue to support the community. So yeah.
South Africans love EFTs. They help us pay our rent, doctor's appointments, school fees, and that friend the time we forgot our wallets. Did you know that around 1 in 3 people prefer EFTs to other online payment methods? So if you're running an online store, you really don't want to miss out on those sales. What's more, online shoppers expect instant service. That's why you need Instant EFT by PayFast. Instant EFT easily integrates into your website and offers super secure payments through South Africa's favorite banks. Payments immediately reflect in your PayFast account, which means there's waiting for proof of payment. PayFast even offers technical support to you and your customers. So don't delay, reach more customers and enjoy Instant EFT today.